Hi, this is Faith, and you are watching The Faith Factor. Holla.
All right, everybody. Good morning. This is Faith in the Morning. I told you guys that I was going to work harder to try to bring you more content every day if I can. If I can't, well, then oh well. The reason why I decided to go online today is because I'm noticing that there's a lot of Black women, especially in this online space, and Black women that I know in real life. We have a real issue with communication. And the reason why I felt the need to come on to my platform and talk about this is because there is a misconception amongst our people in general, but especially with Black women, that we feel that we have to be heard versus have a conversation, a back and forth discord, and developing a listening skill so that we can listen to what the other person has to say and perhaps have a meeting of the mind or agree to disagree. But at any rate, we as Black women, we have a big, huge problem with wanting to be heard, but not actually wanting to hear anybody else. And so the reason why I came onto my screen this morning, like I said, I got a message from a young lady. This was in my comment section. And it was over the Rakia Black Blazer quick take that CK edited. And he did an excellent job with editing that quick take, by the way. And in that quick take, if anyone has seen it, you'll see and you'll hear Rakia going off on my panel. And she was saying a lot of things that I happened to agree with. And I said so myself in the live stream. But even though you're saying something that sounds good to me, I've learned a long time ago that it is not good practice when you're trying to have a conversation, especially with the opposite sex or somebody that doesn't have your viewpoint. It's not good practice to yell, scream, and talk over a person because you have a need to be heard, but you don't have a need to hear nobody else or try to understand a different point of view yourself. You want everybody to hear you. You want everybody to understand your point of view and your side of the story, but you never want to listen to anybody else. You know what? I don't know if it was Rhea or Rakia. I might be butchering the name. I have to go back and look. I believe it was Rakia though. But like I said, I don't want to get it wrong. But if you go back to that video, you'll see who the person is clearly. Oh, and by the way, shout out to my sister Love Wisdom. I see you up here early. But I believe it was Rakia, sis. I believe it was Rakia. Shout out to AP from the Bronx. She says she's listening at work. I appreciate you, sis. But ladies, I just thought that I would come on here and explain why it's not a good idea to go off. Because as Black women, we feel like it's always a good idea to just go off. Let me tell you about going off. Going off has its time and has its place. And if any of you listen to Chrissy's content, she even says this. But going off all the time, if you find yourself going off all the time as an adult, then that means that there's something else going on with you. There may be anger issues. There might be some sort of unresolved thing that you have going on in your life where you feel you got to go off every chance you get. Now, in the comment section, a young lady that listened to my content, she said that the Rakia video was the first video that she listened to of mine, where Rakia was on the panel going off on everybody. And she stated a lot of faith isms, okay? There were a lot of things that Rakia said that was actually directly from the Faith Factor channel. There's a lot of faith ideologies in what she was saying. I did not disagree with her ideologies or her reasoning for why she was saying what she was saying. But if I'm conducting a panel where I'm having a discussion and the conversation is a back and forth conversation where I get to talk and the next person gets to talk and everybody gets to have their say and how they feel, even if I don't agree with the opinion, we still going to have the conversation here. This is how adults interact. But Rakia was so triggered. And that's the other thing, Black women, we got to stop being so easily triggered by things we don't like. There's nothing wrong with you not liking what you hear, but it's something wrong with you not liking what you hear to the point where it drowns out your ability to listen and have a back and forth conversation like an intelligent, civilized adult. And if you go back and listen to that stream, that's exactly what I said to Rakia. I said, hey, we're having civilized conversation here. And she came on to the stream yelling and screaming and talking over. And like I said, even though I didn't have a problem with what she was saying, I had a problem with what she was doing and how she was carrying herself as a Black woman. Another thing that I've been noticing, and I don't necessarily have too much against it, but I noticed that there is a lot of foreign people that like to interject themselves in ADOS conversations. Now, I don't mind listening to their point of view either, especially if they're having the conversation and everyone is being respectful. Like there's one foreign guy that comes in here all the time. His name is Lex Luthor. I don't agree with half the stuff that Lex says. But one thing that I will do is I will give everyone a chance to state their opinion as long as they're being respectful. Now Lex, in my opinion, is very misguided. He's very misguided in my opinion. But at least he has the discipline to have a civilized conversation. I can have a civilized conversation with Lex. Rakia and I, we have the same mindset as far as how we feel about the ideology of people like Lex. But the difference in what separates me from someone like Rakia is that I have the ability to have the conversation without yelling, screaming, talking over, and not hearing the other person. What good is it for you to enter a room and go off? It makes you look crazy. That's what happens. And even though what you're saying might be completely right, you may be completely right in what you're saying. But when you're yelling and screaming like a banshee, the only thing people see is how you're acting. They're not listening really to what you're saying. You're not influencing anyone. You're not coming with a meeting of the minds. You're not even causing people to think. What you're doing is you're causing contention and chaos. And I'm speaking specifically to Black women this morning. Now, I do know that there are Black men that fit this bill too, but on this channel, I'm talking to empower the sisters. That's what I do. I empower you by giving you information, research, breaking down certain situations, talking about what we can do to overcome those situations. But one thing you're never going to see Faith doing, you're never going to see Faith on her channel yelling, screaming, talking over, and looking like a lunatic. You know, we get so angry as Black women because our image is so torn down. And a lot of that has to do with how, some Black men have put us out here. They put us out here in the rap videos like we're hoes and gold diggers and we're bad mothers and all this other stuff. Yeah, they have done that. But you don't have to help perpetuate these stereotypes either. And so it's real easy to point the finger at the other person without examining yourself. But there are a lot of things that we do collectively as a group of women that don't look good. Collectively as a group of women, we think going off all the time is cute. And as a matter of fact, we look up to our female content creators. They yell and scream into their cameras all day. I see you guys. You guys are down there in the chat, and see, I can't take it too long. When I go to a female content creator's channel, I try my best to hear the message over the yelling and the screaming. If I got to overlook your yelling and screaming to get to your message, it's a problem. When you come here, I give everyone respect and I expect the same in return. I don't yell at you like your children. I don't pontificate or talk at my audience. I talk to my audience. Now, I may raise my voice for emphasis if I'm emphasizing something, but I'm not yelling and screaming through my message like a crazy woman. I don't feel the need to do that. When I have a conversation on a panel with people that have opposing views, I can do that. And I can do that very, very civilized because as an adult, I have learned the art of listening. I have learned that you can actually have an effective back and forth, more effective if you listen to what the person has to say. And then you intelligently state why you don't agree with what they just said. But you let the other person talk. And then in return, you expect them to let you talk. Now, I do understand that there are idiots out here, idiotic males that also attempt to talk over women, like Kevin Samuels and his ilk. But when you find yourself in a situation with males, not men, males like this, you just don't entertain them. Hence the reason why I keep saying over and over again, I would never go to his platform to have a conversation. It would have to be mine. And if grown people can't have intelligent conversation where there's a mutual agreement to respect one another's opinion and listen without yelling, screaming, and over talking one another, that's how adults actually interact. But it's a shame in the Black community, we have gotten so used to dysfunction that we think going off all the time is cute. We think we done did something when we done overtalk somebody and call them out their names and start yelling and screaming like crazy people. We actually think we got heard. We actually think we won something. Guess what? The loudest person does not automatically win an argument. You're just loud. The person that walks away from you, they didn't lose. They're just conserving their energy from dealing with you. There are many arguments that I had to walk away from as an adult woman because I wasn't being heard. And I knew that the person that I was attempting to talk to did not have the adult discipline to listen to anyone but themselves. Some people only like to hear themselves speaking. They get visibly irritated when someone else has a turn to say something. They get visibly irritated and don't have the discipline to listen to an opinion that differs from their own. So they talk over the person, and then when the person continues to try to get their point across, then they start yelling and screaming and then name calling. And this has become normalized. This is what we have normalized. And yes, ladies, we do raise the children. And this is the reason why you get the talking points of some of these men about feminine behavior. Because I'm just going to be honest with you, a lot of them have seen it in our households. But are you woman enough to own up to that? If 70% of our children are being raised by us, but we got so many effeminate acting men and women that run around here with no discipline, don't know how to have a conversation, and don't know how to talk to anybody. Yellow Rose of Texas says sometimes silence is the strongest rebuke. Yes, sometimes silence is the strongest rebuke. And sometimes being able to listen and articulate yourself after you have heard the other person's point of view is also very powerful. Kim Minham West says, blame the dad that left, not the mom that stayed. I say blame all deadbeat parents. If you are a parent that is still in the child's life and you're a deadbeat, you're just as bad as the parent that left and abandoned. So I put onus on both here. I look at situations with common sense. If the dad isn't there to help rear the children, then that is a male figure that the children have been robbed of. And he is definitely responsible for his part in not being there to show a different side or to counteract whatever bad behaviors the mother is displaying. If he's not there to counteract that, he's just as much to blame. Because Black men act as if They're not without dysfunction. But a lot of you guys, if you were in your kids' lives, your children would probably be no better either, because a lot of you don't know how to conduct yourselves like adults. And I can see that online as well, but I'm not addressing the men today. Today I'm talking to the ladies. There's a reason why Black men have this talking point. There is a reason why. See, everything they say isn't wrong. So I don't want you guys to come here and think that just because I go up against Black men on certain of their talking points, that I believe that everything that they say is wrong, that we don't do anything wrong. No, you're not going to get that here. And so if that's what you're looking for when you come to my channel, a mass trauma bonding session where Black women can do no wrong, you're in the wrong place. Because I'm all for self accountability here as women. I feel that the first step is for us as women to also have self accountability and discipline as women. And I don't see a lot of Black women with discipline collectively. Now, I know that somebody's going to run up here and talk about their individual self. But the same way that we look at Black men and we tell them that collectively they are conquered, collectively, ladies, you all have no self-discipline. Collectively, we as Black women, and I include myself there, we have low self-esteem. Collectively, we feel a need to be heard versus the need to also listen. Collectively, it's a problem because we got to be right. And you know how you can be right? We tend to want to be right, and we create situations where we're right by over talking and screaming at our opponents. See, when you over talk somebody and you get the last word in, and then you get a chance to stomp away victorious, you went off. Go off, girl. That's what you all say, right? That's how you pump each other up. Go off, girl. Go off, Rukia. Go off, girl. And while you were going off, the person that you were going off on, well, they didn't hear nothing you had to say. Even if what you were saying was totally correct, you were ineffective, because as soon as you start yelling and screaming, that person in their mind, they shut out anything you had to say. And so, as a mother, you're ineffective if you're doing this to your children. As a wife, you're ineffective if you're doing this to your husband. As a friend, you're ineffective if you're doing this to a friend. As a professional on your job, you're ineffective if you're doing this to your coworkers and people who are under you. So this morning, the message is you have to listen just as much as you feel the need to be heard. You have to also have just as strong of a need to listen. And stop being triggered by things that you don't like to hear. In this world, you're going to hear a lot of things that don't align with your basic principles and morals and values. But that doesn't give you a right to stifle that other person while they're expressing their principles, their morals, and their values. You listen, and then you make an intelligent argument as to why you feel the way you feel. And this is how you influence. This is how you teach. This is how you become more effective as a woman. And no, raising your voice all the time is not very feminine. Now, there's a time and a place where you do need to go off, but you don't have to go off every single time. Every time, my first interaction with Rukia on my panel was her going off. If this is my first interaction with you, hearing you in person, this is you going off, that's a turnoff. And if it's a turnoff to me as a woman, imagine how that's a turnoff to men, how that's a turnoff to people that you have to interact with on a regular basis. And then you wonder why people talk about you behind your back, why people don't listen to you, why it seems that you're not effective in any aspect of your life with the people that you love and care about or you want to influence. Because they just see you as a person that goes off all the time. And there will be some people that will use you like a pit bull. There will be other Black women that use you because you go off. Me, I'm not going to use you. I'll use you as an example of what not to be, and that's about it. But I don't need no pit bulls around here. I need women who are capable of free thinking and who know how to articulate themselves very well and who have the discipline to utilize listening as a tool. Because see, you never know how powerful it is when you just shut up and let others talk. Let others string themselves up by a rope and hang themselves. If you let a person talk long enough, that's exactly what they'll do. And then you can go right behind them and you could decimate their whole argument with facts after you have listened. Effective listening is a underrated tool in the Black community, especially amongst Black women. We have a need to be heard because we think we're right all the time, and sometimes we're not right all the time. And in that need to be heard, sometimes you're looking stupid because you're yelling and screaming. You haven't really heard what the other person has said. They said one thing you didn't like, and then you didn't even get the entire context. And then later on, after they've let you go off, they're able to decimate your arguments because you were the one yelling, screaming, and doing all the talking and not collecting any information. So I just wanted to come in quickly this morning and just do a quick live, just stick my head in, say hello, guys. But at the same time, Faith got things that I got to do this morning. So with that, I'm going to say peace. I'm out.